Yeah, so my name's Jeff, first of all. What's your name?
Joseph. Nice to meet
Joseph.
you.
Good to meet you. So, yeah, what do you think about that question?
What do I
do you
think?
think happens after this life?
Well, I think there's two options: heaven and hell.
Uh-huh.
I know where I'm going.
Hopefully heaven.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'm pretty confident in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I think happens: either heaven and hell.
And it sounds like you have a church background or something.
Yes.
That would be where your confidence comes from.
My faith is in Jesus.
Amen. Good to hear. And how long would you say that? I don't know. Would you call it saved? I know different Christians call that different kinds of things.
Yeah. So, for me, about a year and a half ago is when I had my first encounter, because I was going through like some rough times,
Uh-huh.
and I was getting into some of the wrong things, such as like, I guess they call it like new age, like the meditations, the chakras,
Oh wow. Okay.
like I would watch tarot card videos, and
Yeah.
then one day something in my spirit told me to just pick up a Bible, like ask for a Bible. And so that was my first encounter about a year and a half ago. And then 1 year ago in March is when I was baptized. And then it was a pretty shaky year last year, because like the same week I got baptized, I blew my knee out. I tore my ACL and stuff.
Oh,
And then
you're an
once
athlete, like you were in a sport or something.
I just play recreationally. I don't play for like
okay.
a team, but I do like lift weights, and I take that pretty seriously. So it was like a big part of my life that I had to give away for a while.
Yeah.
And when that happened,
That happened after you were baptized.
yes, the same
Okay.
week. Like I
Wow.
was baptized that Sunday, and then that Wednesday
So
I got hurt.
that had been weird. That's like, I thought you were gonna bless me, God.
Yeah, it was like crazy.
Yeah.
And what's even crazier is so I want to be a personal trainer. I had just had an interview like the week before that, and everything was going very well. And once that happened, they told me to just go recover, basically. And
Yeah.
like I couldn't really get that job because I had to work
for
on my
sure.
recovery.
Yeah.
And so it was like everything that I thought was about to just go up, it all like came down. And when that happened, it was a bit tough for me. So I went back to the weed that I put down a while ago, and I went back to just like my old lifestyle almost.
Yeah.
And the whole time I stayed with my Bible, but it was almost like a lukewarmness, you would call it. And I was on the fence pretty much.
Yeah.
And then I would say slowly I started to come out of it, but maybe a month ago or a month and a half ago is when I really started to get back really, really serious into it, and I quit those things.
Yeah. Did you grow up with a church background in your family, or?
No, my mom has always gone to church, but she never forced us to go. And me being a teenage boy, I didn't want to get up on Sunday morning and go. And even when I would go, like I would just go just to go. It wasn't like I didn't have a relationship with God at the time.
Yeah. And so when did you start like going off in that new age direction? Like do you think you were looking for something, or you're just being curious, or what? What would you say?
I was looking for something, definitely. So I have really recently lost a bunch of not like to death or anything, but like I had parted ways with a bunch of friends. I really didn't have anybody or anything to like, I would say, confide in, to like talk to or do anything with. So like I would just be scrolling on TikTok, and I would see the videos of people just like doing all this stuff, and I was like, I need something.
Yeah.
So that's when I started trying to practice that type of stuff.
Wow. And what was attractive to you about it? Like, so it sounds like almost like you were lonely, maybe. Was there some kind of like camaraderie or something? I don't even know like how that works with social media. Like,
yeah, so
like you're watching videos, but are you communicating with people, or was it on a spiritual level?
It was attempting to do it on a spiritual level.
Yeah.
I didn't get deep enough to the point where I was tapping into like other entities and stuff, but I would watch videos of people doing it, and like I would try things, and like I would get into meditation and they would say things like, if you put salt on your ground, it would get rid of evil spirits. And I would try doing that type of stuff and just like all that jazz.
Yeah. Wow. And what? So you picked up a Bible. Was that just on your own, or did you have friends that encouraged you to?
No, that was literally just the spirit told me to ask my aunt for a Bible. And I texted her and I was like, hey, do you have an extra Bible laying around? And she was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And she gave it to me. And I didn't really know what I was doing. And when I flipped it open, the first page I flipped to was Psalms 23. And from there, I never went back to that New Age.
Wow. So it sounds like you kind of like knew it was wrong, or the Bible helped you see it was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think was wrong about it? Maybe I should ask you that.
About New Age?
Yeah. I'm saying I think you were right, but I'm just wondering like why you thought it was wrong.
Yeah, so what I've learned since then is that it's essentially a form of witchcraft, which is not okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I've learned since then. At the time, I didn't know it was wrong. I thought I was doing something correct.
Okay.
Like I thought I was seeking out something that
Being
was
spiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you have any kind of a positive or negative view of church or church people or the Bible before that?
No, I had really no view of them.
Just never really thought about it?
Yeah. They were just regular people to me.
And then getting baptized, was that in your mom's church, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And have you been going since, or
I'm joining the church. I've been pretty consistent in there.
Yeah. Reading the Bible?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you have a regular Bible time, I guess you say, devotion time devoted to reading the Bible? Daily, would you say, or?
No, I don't have a specific time devoted to it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess kind of, but I don't always do it as consistent as I should. I set my alarm for like an hour and a half before I need to be awake, and that's kind of the time that I should be getting up and doing it. But then oftentimes I just be like,
it's hard to get consistent about it.
Yeah. Half the time I just hit snooze 5 times until it's time for me to leave the house.
Well, I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
You and me both. I mean, it's hard, and especially when I was your age, I think those daily disciplines, that's really what preserved my faith, just so you know. I think that's discipline means, well, you're in sports. I mean, you were in sports, probably still are, like you're working your way back, but you know that you've got to be disciplined and you've got to be able to do things even when you don't feel like it, right? So like you set goals and it's like, okay, the only way I'm going to reach this goal is I'm not going to base it on feelings, because sometimes you get in and you can't do what you thought you could do, and it's like, I'm not always going to be successful, but I'm going to keep doing it regardless, And, and that's, so in Christianity, there's disciplines, of reading the Bible and prayer and making sure we're spending time with other Christians and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So you're very confident you're going to go to heaven. How can you be confident?
Because I've been baptized by water and by the Spirit, and I put my faith in Jesus.
Yeah. And how did Jesus, and I'm just asking this for the the benefit of anyone who might see it, what does Jesus have to do with your going to heaven after you die?
Jesus has everything to do with it. Literally everything. What's up, bro? His sacrifice is what made, how do I put this? Jesus' sacrifice is it's what makes, I don't want to say okay, but it's what makes it's what makes my dirt clean. It's what makes the things that I've done all right. It's grace. That's the best way I can put it is just grace.
Yeah.
He extended that hand, even though I've sinned, I still sin. I've done wrong. I've hurt people.
Yeah.
I've made people cry.
Yeah.
But that day on Calvary Hill, when he took that abuse, when he died on that cross, he laid it all on the line for me.
Yeah.
And for us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to hear you saying that. A lot of people, even from a church background, get confused. I think we want to go back to this idea that somehow you've got to earn your relationship with God. You've got to earn his forgiveness, or you have to earn it somehow. You have to do different things. And so a lot of people kind of plug in whatever, doing good deeds, helping people, going to church, saying your prayers, even accepting Jesus, but they see it as just another thing I got to do in order to be forgiven, rather than what he did, So for you, it would be like heaven is a sure thing. Like, do you think you could ever lose your salvation?
No, I don't think so.
No, because of what he did, and he adopted you into his family, and he's not gonna like reject you,
Yeah.
So, so here's a good question: why do good things then? So if you're already going to heaven, here's what a skeptic will say. Joe, so if I see you go to church, you do good things. Why don't you just live life? I mean, you're going to heaven. Why don't you just do what you want to do? Like just do, just go out and have a good time, or whatever.
Okay, yeah. So,
basically sin,
Yeah.
People sin because it's fun at the time.
Yeah. It's
they don't do
Right.
it because of any other, like.
Yeah, I know. It's so the reason I continue to just do good things anyway, is because, well, I want my life to be an example for people. Coming up, all of my examples were bad examples. I want to be able to set the tone for the next set of people, not even just the next generation of people, but the current and the
People
older
around you.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
everyone who's lost. They need someone to see. Like sometimes they need that visual example.
Yeah.
Like they need to be led by example.
Okay.
Yeah, and people.
So you want to share what you have?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
People
cool.
need love,
Yeah.
And like I have love to give, so why not give it?
Yeah. That's cool. How about when Jesus said, he said it to his disciples, he said, "Follow me and I will make you fishers of men." What do you think he meant by that?
I was just going over this in the study recently. So when he says, "Follow me, I will make you fishers of men."
Yeah.
So what I got from that was go out and lead lost souls, almost like Acts 2:42 when it says break bread. They weren't talking about literal bread. They were talking about like bread of the spirit, and go out and share it with people and bring people home, because we are all one body. So, and some people are just lost. So we ought to go out and help each other and bring each other home and help each other up.
Yeah. Do you feel like other than your mother, do you feel like people reached out to you?
Do I feel like people reached out to me in what way?
Just the way you want to reach out to others, and the way you want to share your faith with others. Do you think there's examples or role models or people that helped? Like maybe when you knew I need to read the Bible, you say you were following the Spirit, but do you think you might have been following the examples of others too? Like in your life or personally, or just people you saw online or anything like that?
Yeah, not exactly. I didn't have many like real life help, I would say, like that, but I would get a lot of help off like videos that I would look up.
Yeah. I wish, like, and I sometimes I ask this of different people, like, has anyone ever like just reached out as a Christian to share their faith? And unfortunately, I think there's very few that do that, and I feel like maybe there should be more, and you could be one of them, so if you look at my channel, you'll see the vast majority of people don't really, they would be like you before a year ago or whatever, just kind of like out there with their own ideas and kind of going their own way and kind of lost. And it's we have the opportunity in this life. I don't know if you ever thought of this, but when we go to heaven, like right now we're kind of in a battlefield where there's good and evil all around us, right? And so we have the opportunity to do things now that we'll never have to do again in heaven, because, like, for example, talking to unsaved people, there's not going to be any unsaved people in heaven,
Right. Right.
And so by then it'll be too late. So we need to take advantage of the time we have now. You
Yeah.
know, it's like a situation we'll never be in again, as far as I know, unless God has something else planned. But see what I'm saying? What are you going into?
As far as career wise,
Yeah.
I want to be a personal trainer and work with athletes.
Okay. You know what my first thought was when you talked about like you want to be a personal trainer, and then you had like the injury. I thought maybe you should be a physical trainer, or a physical therapist, because and I don't know, is that included in being a or a physical trainer or
No,
not?
those are slightly different fields.
I mean, you're dealing with people in good health, and
Yeah.
you're trying to help them to become better athletes. And so I don't know. I don't know if that was God telling me to tell you that, or just whatever it was. But I've benefited from physical therapists myself, and really appreciate the work they do and that sort of thing. So, yeah. What do you think? What do you think could be a connection between your faith and your career?
That's a good question. So one thing that I've been pondering on is because I've been thinking about working with athletes, and I always considered kind of being like a role model of sorts, like I just mentioned a minute ago, to like the younger kids. Now, it isn't exactly connected to the faith, but I can't see myself like helping, because there's a lot of kids who don't have the male role model example. So
Yeah.
I could see myself being like an uncle type of role to all these different, what I'm saying, younger kids who don't have that.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I love to do is, like, at this point in your life where you're just starting out your career, is to say, like, so one of the other reasons that we have to do good in our life, not just setting an example for other people, but just to say thank you to Christ for what He's done. He died on the cross for us. How can we give our lives for Him?
Yeah.
And almost any career where you're doing something positive, like you're doing, is a way of saying thank you. Just like exactly, like setting that role model for kids who don't have it. Wow, what a like Jesus said, whatever you do for the least of these, you're doing it for me. You know what I'm saying? You've heard that that passage, right? He was talking about in Matthew 25. It talks about how like when I was sick, and in the hospital, you came and visited me, or when I was in prison, you came to visit me. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was hungry, you fed me.
Yeah.
And then he says, whatever you did for the least of these, you're doing it for me. So the way that we serve other people is also a way of expressing our service to God and our gratitude to God for what He's done. And so instead of going through life like living for that paycheck, and for that maybe career recognition or whatever, we're doing it for God. We have the opportunity, whatever we do, if it's a positive thing, we have the opportunity of serving God. So it doesn't have to be like being a church guy or anything like that, unless God calls you to that. But use your career to express your gratitude to God and to serve others. So I want to encourage you to keep on going in the direction you're going. So okay, I'm gonna turn this off, and I want to see how I can pray for you. If there's anything personally I can pray for.
Okay.
So okay. And I'll give you all the